Have you ever found yourself thinking that you have a story and you'd love to share it with as many people as possible, but the idea of starting a podcast scares you? Well, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain why. It's free. So you can jump in, no strings attached, no obligation, no pressure, and explore the world of podcasting and get your message out to listeners. There are creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. I love this because as somebody who's always on the go, inspiration will hit you out of nowhere, and sometimes you just have to sit down or stand up and record that message right then and there. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and all the major podcasting platforms. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership either. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Welcome to the Sideline Inspiration Podcast, the show for anyone wanting to get off the bench and into the game of life. I'm your host, Hong Forrest, and I'm sharing my wins, my losses, my heart, and how to pursue your passions in life. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Let's go. I want to talk about a simple act. Maybe it's not so simple, but something that a lot of us learn as children. And once we learn it, this thing that we learn literally sticks with us for the rest of our lives. And that is learning how to ride a bike. Do you know how to ride a bike? I know how to ride a bike, and I know most people know how to ride a bike. And I, as a mom of two boys, have experienced the joys, the trials, the tribulations of teaching my sons how to ride a bike. My first son, this is an activity that he picked up so fast. He had no fear of the tricycle, jumped into when he got his first real bike without training wheels and whatnot. We literally spent maybe 5 minutes and he took off and was on his own, balancing on his own very easily from almost the very beginning. He was one of those kids who just could figure things out and had that gross motor skills paired with the balance and the ability to learn how to do so and learn to do so very quickly. And then my youngest son, it took him what some might have you could say that it took him forever. Some might say that it took a long time. It did take a while, but I just remember I would run and walk and jog next to this child, and he would be on his tricycle for a long time. And he would push and he would pedal and he would never give up. But gosh, was it hard work for him? It was very challenging for him. It was difficult for him in ways that I had not experienced teaching my oldest son how to ride his bike. This youngest son of mine, though, every challenge that he's ever been faced with in his life, I can relate back to seeing how he learned to ride his bike over the years. He stayed on training wheels for the longest time. We live less than 2 miles from their grade school, and so many days we would ride bikes, we would walk, we would jog, but yes, when it was nice out, we would ride bikes, and it was a great test of stamina, endurance, perseverance, not just for him, but also for me. I never, ever forget this, but along those less than 2 miles that we would go every single day, on the way to school, on the way home from school, the words that would come out of my mouth and the patience from my oldest son, who would bike a little ways, stop, and wait for his little brother. Bike a little ways, stop, wait for his little brother. God bless him, because he probably could have gone way ahead and been home and probably enjoyed a juice and some food and snacks after school for a good 15-20 minutes, but he would bike and he would wait. And I love his patient heart for that. He's such a good brother. But the words that would come out of my mouth with my youngest son as we were pushing along, it's a fairly flat ride, fairly flat. Parts of the sidewalk would rise and fall gently, but nothing crazy, nothing extreme. And I would just remember telling my son, keep going, focus ahead of you, don't look down, don't look at your feet. That doesn't matter. You know exactly what you need to do. You just need to believe it, and you need to put in the work, and you just need to keep going. When the hill goes up, you need to push even harder. When the hill starts to go down a little bit, hill meaning sidewalk, of course, when it starts to go down a little bit, you could take a little bit of a breather, buddy, and let the momentum carry you. Your legs don't have to work as hard on those parts of the trip. Y'all, these words that I would utter, there would be days when there would be tears streaming down my face, because after a long day of school, and I remember him, this little guy as a kindergartner, a long day of school, he wanted to ride his bike. He so badly wanted to do this, but he also knew that it was hard for him, because we'd have the conversation of, all right, if you ride your bike there, you have to ride your bike back home as well. Knowing that you're going to be tired, knowing that today is going to be a hot day, you've got to put in the work, and you can't say, oh, nope, I don't want to ride my bike home. Now we're going to just be stuck with the bike and leaving it at school. We're not doing that. So y'all, I remember the tears coming down my face. I remember the tears coming down his face, and me hiding my tears from him because he didn't need to see my tears. But y'all, this little boy, this little child would never give up. And he just persevered, and he worked and worked. I just specifically remember his hot, frustrated tears streaming down his face. But the look of determination and grit, and him not giving up whatsoever. He might have had to stop and take his little breaks and take his breathers and, Mom, I just need a second, I need some water, and then I'll be ready to go. But he was always willing to try again. In those moments, gosh, those were some of my most proudest moments, because I was able to look at this little child who knew not of giving up, but who knew how hard something could be, but was determined to learn. And every single day, I would breathe that life into him, those words of encouragement. Go, go, go. Your legs can do this. You've got this. Pump hard, pump hard. Those were the words that he heard. And gosh, it took him so long in order to get off of those training wheels. Y'all, I think we were in the COVID year here, or right before the COVID year hit, where he finally was courageous enough and allowed those training wheels to come off, and finally started to bike and trust his own wings to carry him, literally. And so I share this story today because most of us can relate to riding a bike. Most of us have been there. We know what it's like to ride a bike or learn how to ride a bike, but most of us who are parents, we have taught a child perhaps to ride a bike. And this is something that we can carry with us for the rest of our lives, and that child will carry with them for the rest of their lives, because that journey to learning how to bike can be transcended into any different area of our lives. If you are on a hard road in your life, you keep going. If you are doing something and it is difficult and it is challenging to you, you keep going, because eventually you will get there. It might take you longer. It might take you a lot longer. It might be harder on some days. The weather might suck on other days, but you are going to get there. It might be the same finish line for two different children, but you're going to both get there, and it might be on different terms, but you're both going to get there. We have days today, and looking back, it's like you don't remember that pain, you don't remember that heartache, but he takes with it still that lesson, those lessons that he learned in those days, because he still has moments today when I will hear him. And he will say things like, Mom, remember when you used to tell me to pump my legs and keep going and work really, really hard? Well, I can do all those things now. Oh my gosh, it makes me so, so proud. Whew, I'm a tear up here. It makes me so proud that he took that away from those hard moments. And that's just from learning how to ride a bike. It makes me so proud that he took that away from those moments, because he will be able to apply that to any area of his life. I'm going to get it together here, y'all. I took this lesson. I remember specifically taking this life lesson, this mom lesson, this parenting lesson. And I remember taking this and coaching my team with this. Because as an entrepreneur, as somebody who chases their dreams every single day, as somebody who encourages you to chase your dreams every single day, I know how hard it can be. I know about life's up and downs. I know about the journeys, valleys, and peaks, the highs and lows that can carry you or stop you on any part of your journey. I know these things. And so for me to be able to take that learning how to ride a bike lesson to entrepreneurship, it is so similar, y'all. And some of you might not have somebody saying, keep pumping your legs, work really hard, you can do this, I believe in you, I know you're tired, I know you're frustrated, but you have to find a way to keep going because you're almost there. In our journeys, we might not be able to see the finish line. We might not be able to see the destination, where we're headed, where we're going, but we have to keep trusting our legs. We have to keep our eyes focused outwards on the road ahead of us, not looking down at our feet, not looking down at the road. The road's not going anywhere. Our feet know what to do. We just have to persevere. We have to have the grit and the tenacity to put in the work and push when times are hard, ease up a bit and take a breather when the road allows us to, when the journey allows us to, but otherwise we cannot give up, because eventually we'll all get to that finish line. It might take us different amounts of times, different amount of energy. It might take us all those different amounts of times, but we're all going to get there. But if you give up, if you stop short of your finish line, you're not going to get there. And the best thing about a journey like this and about learning how to do new things is the pride that comes when you are able to do something on your own. When you're able to cross that finish line, look back and look at all those valleys and peaks that you went through and say, I did that. I overcame that. I achieved that. I want y'all to be able to walk away with that sort of pride when you look back on your journey, whether you're learning something new, whether you're pushing towards your passions and goals in life, whether you are aiming towards things that people said you couldn't. And I don't care how long it takes you, because it's about the journey. It's about not giving up. And gosh, I'm reminded of that every day when I look at these two boys of mine. Everything that I go through with them is something that makes me stronger in my business and in my life, because it's the example that I get to set for them every single day. We don't give up. We don't lay down. We don't stop fighting ever. We get back up every single time. That child used to get so many bumps and bruises and owies because sometimes he would pedal so hard that the pedals would spin out of control and he'd lose his footing and the pedals would hit him in the shin or the back of his calves. And there are other times when the bike would just tip and he'd fall over, or he couldn't brake fast enough or hard enough and he would crash into something. All of that, all of those opportunities, we don't stop. He didn't stop. Bless his little heart. He did not stop. And I was right there next to him. So get you a good coach. Find you somebody who has enough for the both of you, especially when you're starting, and especially on those hard days when you might need a little bit more than you have inside of you. So you're going to need somebody who has enough for the both of you, so that you, on your hardest day, you know that somebody is cheering you on. You know that someone believes in you the way I believe in my sons, the way you believe in your children, the way you encourage them on. We as adults need that for ourselves as well. So, sis or brother, get up, learn your new skill. Don't be afraid that it's too late or that you're too old, because I'm telling you, as a mom of an 11 and a 12-year-old son, they don't care that one child learned how to ride without training wheels from the age of 6, and the other just came off his training wheels maybe less than 2 years ago. They don't care. So if you're thinking that you're too old or you're too not enough of this or not enough of that, get it out of your head. Get it out of your head. Have childlike faith and look at it the way that children would look at it. And that is that they don't care. That they all know that they're each on their own timetables and that they will get there when they get there. But you know what? In the meantime, they're going to have fun and they're going to enjoy the process regardless. So, my friend, your life might be hard. The journey that you're on, this goal that you're pursuing, whatever it is, might be really hard right now. And you might have days where it is extremely difficult and you want to stop. But the best thing that you can do is to continue, is to persevere, push ahead, dig deep, and find it within you and keep going. Because on the other side of all of this is that journey of looking back and knowing how far you've come, where you started versus where you're standing right now. And it's going to make you so proud. I get to look at my little boys and I get to see how proud they are when they get to look back and talk about how they used to do something or about how they didn't know how to do this back in the day. Oh my gosh, if only they knew. But y'all, I think about that and I just loved to look back on that journey with them, on the things that they've learned how to do over the course of their 11 and 12 years thus far. Guess what? We have the gift of experience, but sometimes we allow that gift of experience to become not a gift, to become something that allows us to scare ourselves into holding back from becoming the best version of ourselves. So life is fantastic because it allows us the time to have experiences, but if you're allowing those experiences to hold you back in fears and hold you back and keep you back from becoming the very best version of yourself, you may as well have not had all those experiences whatsoever. So life is like riding a bike. You are taught how to do it, you fight your way to do it, and you know what? We all have it in us. Even if we don't or haven't gotten on a bike in a long time, we all still remember how to do it. Childlike faith, persevere, move forward in whatever it is your purpose and your passion leads you to. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Sideline Inspiration. I really enjoyed sharing more about teaching my boys how to ride a bike and how to take that lesson into our everyday lives. If you want a daily dose of inspiration and passion, or to send me a message about this episode, follow me on Twitter or Instagram at Hong Forrest and send me a DM. And if you liked what you heard, please share this pod with a friend.